Hi, it's Janelle Maloney, author and historian, and I'm in Cordova, Iowa, on the banks of the Lake Red Rock, which didn't actually exist until modern time when the Des Moines was dammed and back flooded to create a lake. And I'm here today because underneath the water is the town of Rousseau, which is named after my third great grandparents, particularly Dr. James Rousseau, who was a well-known and beloved physician in Marion County. He's actually the government land surveyor that platted the entire county before others could even purchase land and settle here. So we have a very, very long history in this area. He did not name the town after himself, and it was sort of a tribute to him. The town was laid out on behalf of William Kent, who had owned the majority of that property, and William Kent loved Dr. Rousseau and had the town named for him. Unfortunately, it is now all underwater. So one of the ways we can see it today is to go all the way up. I believe it's more than 4 stories. I believe it's a really tall tower called the Cordova Tower, and we'll be able to see, and I'll point out when we get out there, where Rousseau was. I'm not sure what the correct verb is for that because it still does exist. The buildings are still down there, and depending on the water levels and the clarity of the water in the sky that day, you can still see down inside. I think in some literature I've heard it called a ghost town. I've heard of it being called an underwater town or a lost town, but it's still there. So let's go see. I had read online that it cost 50 cents in 2 quarters exactly to open the gate to get through, but today there was a side gate totally open. So I don't know if the policies have changed or whatnot. So that's kind of cool. All right, I'm about halfway up, and I just looked up, and I need to take a breath. I mean, I'm not afraid of heights, but this is different. I don't think heels were the right choice today for this. The higher we go, the windier it gets, and the much, much colder it's getting. Also, with the wind, you people, you like to tell me about my audio problems. Guess what? The wind is loud. It's loud. Oh well. There we go. And the town of Rousseau is over here somewhere. Well, underwater. All right, so I made it to the top. It is very windy up here, and it is really cold. I don't know what the exact temperature is, but it's too cold for what I'm wearing. So this is one of the only ways that I get to say I have now visited a town named after my ancestors here in Iowa, Rousseau. Now, Dr. Rousseau actually laid out many cities, including Knoxville, Pella, Bussey, and a few others that I'm forgetting right now. I can put it in the video description, but he laid out several cities and was a well-known civil engineer. Later, when he ended up in San Bernardino, he laid out some of those areas, including a mine and how that would work, and that mining camp, etc. And he was considered one of the best educated men in the entire county, for all of the mathematical work he could do, on top of being a physician, a surgeon. He was a postman in Elm Grove Forest, where Bussey now is. He was the first postman in the entire county here in Marion County. He had so many jobs, a Renaissance man, truly. And so anyways, it's cool. I'm his third great granddaughter, which for the non-genealogy people, that's 5 generations down the line, stopping in to see his incredible work of laying out this city. Again, not generally afraid of heights, but coming down, my knees were shaking. Whew. So I'm going to take a look around the lake and see if there is a way to get a little bit closer on foot. Looks like we're going to drive over a bridge across Lake Red Rock. Back in the 1850s and 60s, there was a ferry, and it was called the Rousseau ferry. And the ferry would take folks from the town of Rousseau, which was above water at that time, and take them across the Des Moines River to Otley. I think we're going to take a little detour first, though. I saw something. So I'll change my shoes, and we're going to go take a walk down this way. So down this way, there's an old boat dock, I believe, and or overlook, or maybe where there was an old bridge. I'm not sure. Maybe someone else can do a little homeschooling and find out what this was. Do some Googling, do some reading in a book, maybe. But we're gonna go down there and we're gonna see how far out we can get, and we're gonna look into the water if possible. So even though I changed to flats, I might still get in some trouble here. Fortunately, I don't have a book talk or anything after this, so if I end up covered in mud, it's okay. I can't decide if this feels kind of romantic or kind of like haunted. The symphony of sounds of insects and birds and freeway traffic. It's beautiful. There are no signs telling me I cannot be here. No beware, no caution, no enter at your own risk, nothing. All right, shall we go out? You know, of course we are. I'm just asking to be polite. We're going, come on. Aside from some very rhythmic ripples, the water appears to be a pretty nice mirror of the sky, which is also very beautiful right now. We are about an hour and a half away from sunset. Looks like got a little bit of nature to pause and observe out in the distance here, right where we see that little point coming out. There's a heron. We've got a flock of something very white. Let's keep going. I don't know if you can hear it, but my shoes are completely clogged full of mud up the sides and everything too. Uh-oh, are we gonna be able to make it? Okay, this is good. Well, there's not a whole lot to see in the water, but to me this is an absolutely stunning view. There we go, across the Des Moines, which is absolutely humongous because of the lake formation here. And since I've been driving around this area, I've been to Pella and Otley, and I'm headed to Knoxville now, I'm getting a sense of scope for how truly large of an area it was for Dr. James Rousseau to go out into the wilderness basically and stand at a tree and triangulate block by block, mile by mile to create various segments and then map them out. Literally stand there and draw where the lake is, where the pond is, where the river goes, where the trees are in groves, so that way each township, as it would end up being, could be priced appropriately based on the available resources in that section. There's some great videos on the history of land surveying, including some not so nice stories where Native American people started to notice a pattern where the trees would be marked, or they would see surveyors setting out their chains or marking things out in their land, and they noticed that after the surveyor would come out and mark the land, then white settlers would begin to come in and push out the people who had been living there for their entire existence. And so there was a theory out there that what the surveyors were doing was some form of witchcraft, and they were coming out to mark the land and curse it. And those markings were arrived part of the spell that they cast on the land to ruin the Native Americans' lives, basically. As I was doing some of my research, I came across the ways that some of Dr. Rousseau's contemporaries, government land surveyors, were murdered excessively. Not just shot with a bow and arrow, but like roasted over a fire. Just really horrific, spiritually significant ways to murder someone, to possibly try to cancel the curse that or reverse the curse that had been put on their land. It's more complicated than that. More complicated than this YouTube video can get into right now. So I'm now on the south side of Lake Red Rock. And from here, we'll be able to actually see that tower over in the town of Cordova. Yeah, there's the tower, and it looks mighty small from here. Still, pretty incredible views.